So a lot of people have asked me for my updated settings on my GoPro Hero 7. So just a quick disclaimer, with electronic stabilization, you are never going to get the results fully that you want with the vibration, but you can do some simple steps to fix that, and I'm going to show you now. Other than the steps on the GoPro, a couple of things you can do to help with your image quality in low light is I would advise having it strapped to your head somewhere, whether it be under the visor or your chin. I wouldn't advise having it on the chest if you're doing a lot of low light recording, simply because your head almost acts like a stabilizer itself. So typically when I record, I usually record in either 2.7K or 4K 30. I never tend to go any higher than this, purely because obviously in lower light situations, the higher frame rate really doesn't seem to cope well. So I keep it at 30 FPS. I like to record in a super view, field of view, unless I'm doing third person shots. Then I'll change it to linear, but you can't do that in your 4K. I don't enable the low light because all that does is when you're in 60 FPS, it will actually change it down to 30 FPS, and it doesn't tend to actually deal with low light that great. Stabilization on, Protune on. I keep the shutter as auto. As a rule of thumb, if you are going to use the shutter, have it double what you have your frame rate. So if your frame rate's 30, have it at 60, or if your frame rate's 60, have it at 120. I just keep it at auto. So with EV comp, I have it at -1, and a lot of people obviously do realize that this darkens the image. But as you can see on this test, that from lowering the EV comp, it actually ups the shutter speed, so you get a clearer image. So although the image is darker, the shutter speed is actually better. So what I would suggest is just color correcting and brightening it in post-production. White balance is auto. My ISO minimum is 100 and the ISO max is 1600. I don't tend to go any higher than that because when it is low light and it is higher than 1.6, it gets really grainy. I have my sharpness set to low and my color is flat. That is entirely your choice. So if you like the GoPro color, then go for it. I prefer to have it as flat and then edit in post-production. And then mics I have set to wind most of the time, especially if I'm outside. Usually have it set to stereo if I'm indoors. And I tend to have the raw audio off. Hopefully you guys found this video helpful. If you did, comment, rate, subscribe, and I'll see you on the trails.